live at the legislature, where every week we will sit down and talk to members of the House of Representatives to find out about their concerns, issues, and legislation moving through the halls of the state capitol. In a couple of days, on Wednesday, the 30th Hawaii State Legislature will convene its 2019 session. Joining us today to talk about what we can expect are House Speaker Scott Saiki and House Majority Leader Della Al-Bilati. Speaker Saiki, let's begin with you. We're just coming off an election. You've got a whole bunch of new legislators that will be joining us in the chamber. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so this is going to be a great year for the freshmen. This is the largest freshman group that we've seen probably over the past 10 years. We have 9 members on the Democratic side. We have one new member on the Republican side. This group is diverse. The majority of the 10 are female. There's diversity in terms of their backgrounds and professions. And I can tell that they are pretty eager to start working. They're going to be very substantive and helpful in the House.
Do you think it's going to make your job easier or harder?
Oh, absolutely easier, because they're gonna contribute.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about what the priorities or top issues might be this coming session. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, Brad?
Sure. So the House is embarking on a new approach to the budget. We're really going to have chairs dig down into the budget and look at specific subject matter areas and departments. We're going to see a follow-up of the major initiatives that we passed last year in homelessness and affordable housing. And we're going to take up those perennial issues that always come up, things like minimum wage, the rising cost of healthcare, the high cost of living, as well as things like campaign finance reform and other election reforms.
Well, you know, last year was a banner year for the legislature, and particularly the House. You passed 3 pieces of major legislation dealing with affordable housing and the homeless situation, and the emergency funding for Kauai and Oahu. How will you be following up on those issues this year, Speaker?
Right, so that's an important point, because one of the reminders we have for our House members is that when we pass significant legislation, we should always review it and follow the subsequent years to make sure that it's being implemented. Because often the legislature enacts a law and then kind of forgets about it. But the Affordable Housing Bill appropriated $200 million for the Affordable Rental Housing Trust Fund. We will be working with the lead agency, which is the HHFDC, the Housing Finance Development Corporation, to make sure that these monies will be targeted towards specific projects. I'm assuming that they'll have to allocate these funds over a period of about 10 or 12 years to use it all. As far as the Ohana zones, the legislature appropriated $20 million for transitional homeless projects. The governor has already allocated a portion of those funds, but we want to make sure that those funds are used as intended, which was to create transitional housing projects for homeless individuals based on a model program that was built on Nimitz Highway a couple of years ago.
So how specifically, so you oversight to make sure that the action is going the way that the legislation intended it to. In the area of homelessness, Representative Bilati, the governor did come out with his Ohana zones concept.
He came out with a concept, but he has not executed on the contracts, particularly on Oahu. We know that there are 2 outstanding sites. So we really want to see if it's going to be in the model, as Speaker said, along the lines of the project that occurred at Nimitz Highway, which is the Kauaiki villages. We really want these sites to address individual homelessness. We've done a lot and have a lot of progress on addressing families who are experiencing homelessness, but we have to go after those more persistent populations that we see on the street, the chronic homeless, particularly those with severe persistent mental illness and what we know is substance abuse problems.
So specifically, what could this mean? Amending some of the laws that we already passed on those issues, or?
Well, the Ohana Zone legislation was established as a pilot project.
Okay.
So we allocated funds for a project within each of the 4 counties. And we just need to make sure that the administration basically builds those projects.
Okay.
Another outstanding question, and legislators from Big Island and Kauai are asking, projects in Ohana zones have not been identified on those islands and in those counties, so we have to follow up on those issues.
It would seem then that with this going over to this new budgeting process, that what we are looking for this session is a lot of accountability and transparency on the part of the legislature and on the part of the administration.
Right, so as we all know, sometimes the easier aspect is to enact legislation and to appropriate funds. The real challenge is in executing those programs. And we just want to make sure that when the legislature is very clear on an area that we believe needs to be focused on, that the administration will follow through and execute that policy.
Okay, well, it looks like it's going to be a pretty exciting session again. And as I said earlier, the legislature does convene on Wednesday. The members of the public are invited down. We convene at 10 a.m. The doors to the House chamber will open at 9:30 a.m. Parking will be limited, so carpool, Uber, Lyft, or just stay at home in your pajamas and watch the opening sessions on Olelo on Channel 49. Until next week, it's great to be back again, and we will see you. Aloha.
Do you know your legislators? Visit capital.hawaii.gov and enter your street name to find detailed information about your representatives and senators. From your district number to the committees and current bills your legislators have introduced, this is an easy way to stay up to date with what is happening in your community. If you're looking for detailed information concerning Hawaii State Senate and House hearings, please visit olelo.org/gov-archives. Videos are arranged by date, with the most recent at the top of the list. You can also search the on-demand media library by typing keywords into the search box.
Are you looking for an easy way to get involved in the legislative process? Stop by the Public Access Room located in room 401 at the Hawaii State Capitol. The Public Access Room provides citizens of Hawaii's facilities, services, and equipment to enhance their ability to participate in the legislative process.
I'm Richard Raposa, Director of Communications at the Hawaii State Senate. Each week, we'll be giving you a chance to hear directly from state senators about issues and concerns here at the state capitol. This Wednesday marks the opening day of the 30th legislative session, and here to talk to us about what's coming up in this session is Senator Jay Kalani English, who is the Senate Majority Leader. He represents the 7th District, which includes Hana, East and Upcountry Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kaho'olawe. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
What is coming up in the session? What are you looking forward to as some of the highlights just coming in from the start?
We have a promising session ahead of us. We had 4 new senators get elected, so that's 1/6 of the Senate, and they bring a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge with them. Drew Kanuha has come from the Big Island, and he was the former chair of the Hawaii County Council, so a lot of experience there. Senator Keho Kalole comes from the House, with a pretty progressive agenda, a lot of experience. So he'll be heading our technology committee. Senator Moriwaki was elected from the Kaka'ako, Waikiki area, brings a lot of background and energy, but also community organizing. And we have Senator Flavella, who's our one minority. He's wonderful to work with. His family is from Hali'imaile on Maui, so of course we know everybody in common. So we look forward for a very dynamic session.
You also lost some kind of key members. How do you think the Senate will be able to fill in some of those holes?
Well, the Senate is the only continual body in Hawaii. That means that there's always half are up for election, half remains. So it's the only body that continues all the time. So it's within our system to have these types of changes. Our leadership looks for expertise. We look for what people are interested in, what values and what experiences they bring, and then try to assign them to those committees. However, we also understand that we have to learn different things. I always describe to the committee chairs, it's like you're doing an advance, either a graduate degree or a postgraduate degree in any subject. So when someone gets assigned to a committee, I always tell them, look, take advantage of learning everything you can about that subject matter. You'll come out an expert.
Now, you have a lot of issues facing the state right now. Some of them are continuing issues. Then we have new issues that come up, like the question of recounts in close elections. How does the Senate determine its priorities for the session?
Well, let me take the first part of that question. The Senate has, for the last couple of years, passed very significant legislation for recounts, dealing with recounts. We've sent it to the House twice, and the House chose not to act on those bills. So they'll be reintroduced. I'm sure they'll pass the Senate and they'll go to the House again. In listening to them, I see that the voter recounts and voter reform, election reform is one of their issues. So I hope this year that the bill that we've passed for the last few years and sent to them will get passed by the House.
And then in terms of the other priorities with all of the issues like homelessness and housing.
Yeah, so actually, the Senate, we have a consensus-based way of making decisions, and very quickly what I do is I ask each senator to give me their top 2 issues that they're hearing in their district. So there's a big difference of, what I want in my district and what I'm hearing. I put that on a grid. We sit down with the grid with, normally 50 ideas. And we look at where the clusters are, what rises to the top. And then from that, we develop what's called a Senate legislative program. And then from the program, we ask each senator to now incorporate these principles and these ideas into all of their bills. We also ask those that are applying for 42F grant and aids from the states to follow the same format. So last year we adopted the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. It's a global framework. Since then, the 4 counties have adopted it. The governor has issued an executive order, which means the executive departments are all implementing it. Many businesses have adopted it and are starting to move ahead, as well as a great number of nonprofit organizations. So for instance, the Hawaii Community Foundation, which gives out millions and millions of dollars in grants a year, is using the SDG as one of their bases. So this year we adopted our Senate legislative program, and what we did was we concentrated on 7 issues. So these are grounded in that matrix that I talked about earlier, and we concentrated on things like sustainable cities and communities, number 11, number 12. Responsible consumption and production, again, dealing with real life issues. This one, the cesspool issue, dealing with waste and recycling, that's number 12. Number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Of course, good governance, good policies, voter recounts. All of those things are embedded in this. Number 8, decent work and economic growth. Again, making sure that we have a smart workforce that's ready to enter into the workforce. Number 4, quality education. Of course, we all want better education. Right. Mm-hmm. Number 3, good health and well-being. Dealing with the opioid crisis, looking at how we curb the amount of prescriptions being written, how we track people that are going to different doctors to get multiple prescriptions, and finally, number 17, partnerships for the goals, which simply means that we want public-private partnership. We're looking at things like how do we partner with, when we give out the grants, we're actually partnering with those nonprofits to accomplish. So we adopted 7 of the 17 goals, but we are still implementing all 17.
So that's both for short-term action, but also for long-term planning.
Yes, exactly. What we're looking at is, what we can do right now. And then what we're also looking at is how do we lay a groundwork for the future. So we're trying to provide good leadership. We're trying to provide good guidance. to the general population, to our own members, and to the way we govern, so that everyone knows what the goals are, everyone knows how to achieve this. You know, if you go to the HawaiiSenateMajority.com, you can pull down this particular piece. And, you know, if you really want to go in depth, go to sustainabledevelopment.un.org/SDGs. It seems fairly simple, but behind these 17, there's huge amounts of matrix and measurements and measurable outcomes that you can see on the UN website.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you for joining us, and join us next time on Live at the Legislature.
Do you know your legislators? Visit capital.hawaii.gov and enter your street name to find detailed information about your representatives and senators. From your district number to the committees and current bills your legislators have introduced, this is an easy way to stay up to date with what is happening in your community. If you're looking for detailed information concerning Hawaii State Senate and House hearings, please visit olelo.org/gov-archives. Videos are arranged by date, with the most recent at the top of the list. You can also search the on-demand media library by typing keywords into the search box.
Are you looking for an easy way to get involved in the legislative process? Stop by the Public Access Room located in room 401 at the Hawaii State Capitol. The Public Access Room provides citizens of Hawaii's facilities, services, and equipment to enhance their ability to participate in the legislative process.
Good morning and welcome back to our first episode of the second season of Live at the Legislature, where every week we speak with members of the House and Senate to talk about issues moving through the state capitol. Our guests today are the two minority leaders from the House and Senate, newly elected Senator representing District 19, Eva Beach, Kurt Favela, and from Hawaii Kai, Representative Gene Ward, the minority leader for the House. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. The minority lives.
Yes, it does. Alive and well. So, Senator, we'll start with you. Obviously, you're kind of the talk of the town come November, the one Republican senator in the state. So, sort of run us through what that's been like since November, the election, and the work you've been doing for your community and for the state.
Oh, very, very fast paced. But the best thing about being here and just being the minority, but just the overwhelming of support from the lieutenant governor, even the Senate president and vice president. They've been very, willing to help me learn, the process. Because let me tell you, just jumping into it, I'm not a great swimmer, but I try to dog paddle to the end. But I really think it's been going good, even with the WAM. Donovan De La Cruz comes to my office, give me advice on how to put stuff together for my community, which is very important to me. He knows that one of the main things that I've been working on is the gender equality, the Title IX. It was enacted in 1972. There's no progress since 1972. So I just, for my community, knowing that what the girls had accomplished over, young ladies accomplished over the years through what they have to go through on a daily basis in all sports, all women's sports, lady sports in our community without having a locker room for themselves is incredible in itself. But I was talking to my fellow colleagues and letting them know it's not necessarily that I just want Campbell to have the gender equality. I want all the schools. I want to work with all my colleagues, as one, because I don't look at them as across the aisle, because when you look at it that way, then you have division. So I don't think they're my colleagues across the aisle. I just thinking that they're just my colleagues, because we want Ohana here. So I want to work with them in whatever schools across the state that don't have it. I want to work with those senators and the representatives to get the gender equality. And the only reason why Campbell is the hot topic and the issue is because of the suit. And it's been on TV and all of that. So for me, I just want to, I'm not saying have the answer, but I want to work with my colleagues to remedy the problem, because it is a problem. In this day and age, for women, young ladies, not having equality in the school in any country, in any state, is not acceptable. So I want to work with my colleagues and try to get this done. I talked to a few of the senators I wanted to do, because we all like to do pilot programs. Yeah. So I told them, let's Campbell High School be the pilot program. So we do Campbell, and next session we do the rest of the schools. But that's one of the main topics for me. Of course, a lot of education, transportation, Hawaiian issues. I want to make sure that OHA, for the city lands that people are using on OHA, they get the amount of money that OHA needs to take care and run programs. Because in Hawaii, a lot of Hawaiians, we have, health problems, from diabetes to social issues that end up one thing or another, ends up being homeless, for whatever the reason. And to me, if you can remedy these problems and giving the money to OHA that they need to help our Hawaiians, I think we'll have less Hawaiians on the street. I mean, that's just my perspective. But I think a lot of the Hawaiians that are out there is not necessarily because they're doing drugs. A lot of people like to stereotype our families out there, but they're not doing drugs. It's just that somewhere around the line, something went wrong and they're out there. I mean, I can be homeless any day now too. I mean, anytime. I got blessed to be in the Senate. But before I became a senator, I was a custodian. Before a custodian, I was an inspector. But coming between jobs, having a strong foundation family, which I had with my mom and my dad, I could have been homeless paycheck to paycheck like anybody, So I don't think I'm better than anybody or look down to anybody. I think we need to really look at it, and I'm willing to work with the governor and the lieutenant governor on this issue, because I think we need to solve our family's problems, not cure it. A lot of people say, we're going to cure homeless in Hawaii. It's not a cure. That's our family. We got to find them, how we can get them homes. It's not a disease in a sense, So you can't go over there and give them a pill and then we stop being homeless, right? So I just want to change people's mindset that not everybody on the street is homeless, a criminal, criminal, drug addict, and try to rob and hurt anybody. There are people that's having less, need a little bit more help. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rep. Ward, will transition to you. You're a bit of a veteran, and so run us through sort of what you've been working on with the caucus since we last ended session in May.
First, I want to say I'm proud and honored to have this guy as a colleague, as the minority leader in the Senate, and we got a lot of things to look forward to. The common bond between what he's saying and what we're doing in the minority caucus. Our package is called Calling All Kama'ainas. I mean, you just heard the heartbeat of a Kama'aina right there. Two things that we want to do with the Kama'aina package that we're putting through. We want to attack at least a piece of the affordability of Hawaii. We want a package called Kama'aina Come Home. We want those who are on the mainland who graduated from high school, who come back with a BA, to be able to get, like I did as a veteran, a house down payment without having to do that. As veterans, we get a down payment without to have any money. This is a down payment to get people incentive to come back, either buy a house or a condo, and it's going to be funded through a REIT revolving fund. REITs are those billion-dollar companies that own all the shopping centers in Hawaii and pay no taxes. And that's part of the old Kama'aina Come Home. The other is Kama'aina Stay. We have a rent-to-own segment that we're going to do. We also have a Kama'aina Health program where we're going to have more doctors who are going to be able to stay because of the funding we're going to do for JEPSON, and a Kama'aina education program where vocational training, not everybody has got to go to college, but we've got a vocational training program like Campbell High School in his district. Goodyear Tires is bringing people in to train them to get more auto mechanics available, because right now we don't have it. And we're also using the model that is in Switzerland, where the majority of the Swiss graduates go into apprenticeships on businesses. So the point is, Kama'aina Come Home, Kama'aina Stay Home. Let's get education and health and really pay attention to the local people, which is part of what the whole thing about Republicans, we're the party of Kohio with local solutions.
There's going to be a lot of issues coming up this session, it sounds like, and so opening day is Wednesday, January 16th. We look forward to seeing you then, and we'll see you next week.